One of the biggest mistakes wine collectors make is opening expensive bottles too early. I have done it myself. Sometimes you simply want a mature Bordeaux to share with family or friends. Not a bottle that's still 10 years away from its peak, and not a bottle that costs hundreds of dollars. That's exactly why I have always kept a section of my cellar for what I call ready-to-drink Bordeaux. Wines that are already showing beautifully, don't cost a fortune, and are good enough that nobody feels shortchanged. Two bottles I recently bought more of are 2012 Château Tronquoy-Lalande from Saint-Estèphe and 2015 Château Prieuré-Lichine from Margaux. One costs around $40, the other around $60. For mature Bordeaux, that's exceptional value. In this video, I will compare two bottles from my cellar, explain how differently they taste, which dishes they pair best with, and ultimately tell you which one I would recommend depending on the style of Bordeaux you enjoy. And before we begin, while you are still discovering your preferences, buy 3 or 6 bottles rather than a full case of 12. A cellar should evolve alongside your taste. Why 2012 Bordeaux is worth buying today? The 2012 Bordeaux vintage has quietly become one of my favorite vintages to drink today. It never had the reputation of 2010, nor the hype of 2015 or 2016, but that's exactly why it still represents such good value. Often described as a Merlot vintage because of the late growing season, 2012 produced wines with silky tannins, approachable structure, and plenty of charm. They are not wines to hide away for another 20 years. They are wines to enjoy now. And that's becoming increasingly rare in Bordeaux. Château Tronquoy-Lalande, 2012. Dating back to the 18th century, this 30-hectare Saint-Estèphe estate was acquired in 2006 by the Bouygues brothers, owners of neighboring Château Margaux, who invested heavily in both the vineyards and winery. Since 2022, the estate has simply been known as Château Tronquoy. This has always struck me as one of those Bordeaux wines that's enjoyable young, but becomes even more satisfying with a little bottle age. The 2012 is built around 57% Merlot, 40% Cabernet Sauvignon, 2% Cabernet Franc, and 1% Petit Verdot. On the nose, I find red berries, baking spices, forest floor, savory herbs, and crushed stone. The palate is medium-bodied, beautifully textured, and wonderfully balanced. There is enough structure to remind you it's Saint-Estèphe, but enough maturity that everything feels harmonious. As the wine has aged, it's gained extra complexity without losing the generosity that first attracted me. Today, it's exactly where I want it to be. The 2012 Château Tronquoy-Lalande sells for around $40. Why 2015 Margaux drinks so well today? If 2012 is Bordeaux's quiet overachiever, 2015 is one of Margaux's modern classics. Warm days and cool nights produce wines with dark cherry fruit, floral perfume, polished tannins, and remarkable balance. Less powerful than 2009 perhaps, but wonderfully refined. For me, 2015 even edges out 2016 in Margaux. It captures everything I love about the appellation. Silky, fragrant, elegant. The wines are already drinking beautifully, yet still have many years ahead of them. Château Prieuré-Lichine, 2015. First mentioned in 1444, Château Prieuré-Lichine became a fourth worth in the famous 1855 classification. Its modern reputation owes much to Alexis Lichine, whose purchase of the estate in 1951 transformed its fortunes. Since the Ballon Group acquired the 77.5-hectare property in 1999, extensive investment has further improved vineyard management and winemaking. The 2015 is a blend of 66% Cabernet Sauvignon, 29% Merlot, and 5% Petit Verdot. It's one of the finest Prieuré-Lichines I have tasted. On the nose, I find dark berries and sweet spices, with subtle earthy notes underneath. The palate is silky, polished, and unmistakably Margaux. Powerful enough to satisfy, elegant enough that another glass always seems like a good idea. It captures that wonderful balance between generosity and finesse. The 2015 Château Prieuré-Lichine sells for around $60. These are exactly the kinds of wines I want sitting in my cellar. Not because they are famous, not because they will double in value, but because they are ready. Ready for dinner, ready for friends, ready for those evenings when you don't want to think too hard about what to open. Finding mature Bordeaux at sensible prices is becoming increasingly difficult. That's why I recently bought more of both. If your budget stretches to around $60, I would probably choose Prieuré-Lichine. It captures everything I love about Margaux. Silky tannins, beautiful perfume, and enough freshness to pair effortlessly with roast chicken, duck, veal, pork, mushrooms, or a good cheese board. If your budget is closer to $40, Tronquoy-Lalande is one of the easiest recommendations I can make. It offers more structure, more savory character, and the unmistakable personality of Saint-Estèphe, while remaining beautifully approachable today. I love it with roast lamb, steak, venison, or slow-cooked beef. Personally, I don't think there is a wrong choice. I would simply decide based on what was on the dinner table, and that's exactly why these two bottles continue to earn a place in my cellar. If you were looking for a ready-to-drink Bordeaux today, which would you choose? The elegance of Margaux or the savory depth of Saint-Estèphe? I would love to hear which direction you would go, and if there is another value Bordeaux comparison you would like to see next, let me know in the comment section below. You will find more of my cellar insights and tasting notes on Instagram. Massive thanks for watching today, and I will see you in the next one.